Okay, hello. So in this video I want to talk about who becomes a victim of narcissistic abuse and why. And I'm going to look specifically at two scenarios, and that's narcissistic mothers and romantic partners. Okay. Now I know there are others, but I'm just going to cover those two in this video. Okay, so firstly, you could be born into it. And that's very often where the whole narcissistic abuse cycle starts. Now, if you've been unfortunate enough to have a narcissistic mother, you've undoubtedly fought a long, hard battle with trying to come to terms with or even understand what's happened to you. Now, typically, you wouldn't have even realised that you were in an abusive relationship until you were much, much older. You could have been in your 20s, or you could have been way up in your 60s before the penny finally dropped and you realised that you were never the problem and that all your problems now are due to having an NPD mother. Now, it's bad enough to have any narcissist in your life, but having a narcissistic mother is probably the toughest of all for a woman. And why is that? It's because typically mothers are supposed to be loving, caring, nurturing, protective and supportive of their children. All those things that your narc mother wasn't. That loving mother-daughter bond just wasn't there for you. Now, in these cases, also it's important to note that if the father was present, even if he was a really good guy, his influence on your emotional well-being is negligible. And that's because negative input into our minds is much more powerful than positive in such situations. So your father's attempts to be kind and supportive would not have negated your mother's constant barrage of negativity to you, okay? So when you were growing up, your emotional needs were never met. You never felt loved. Your mother frequently ruined every special event you ever had. Everything in life was about her, and you often felt like a burden for just being alive. She may even have said things to you like, "I wish you'd never been born," "Having you ruined my figure," or "You spoiled my chances of blah blah whatever." You were also very likely a mini slave, running, fetching and carrying and doing stuff at her behest, taking care of her when she should have been taking care of you. Now, she also will typically have made all her problems your problem, as in you were to blame for everything and anything that went wrong in her life. Now, those are just a few examples. This particular list could go on and on and on. And I really, really applaud any woman who has survived to tell the tale of a narc mother, because these mothers really do take the biscuit. Okay, so let's assume, or assuming that you've grown up in this kind of a toxic childhood environment and had this kind of a toxic childhood, your worldview will be very different from someone who's grown up in a normal household. Okay, you'll have been denied the all-important bonding and love that is every child's right, okay? And so you won't deal with things the same way. Now, this is one of the reasons I use inner child healing as part of my therapy suite with all my clients, because it's incredibly powerful. And basically, because your subconscious has no linear time frame the way your conscious world does, you can go back in and reparent yourself, giving yourself the love that you were deprived of. It may sound simplistic, it may sound crazy if you're not familiar with this concept of inner child healing, but believe me, it's not. Inner child healing can create a seismic emotional shift in your self-worth. And I've seen it happen many, many times. And it's a very beautiful thing when it happens. Okay, but coming back to growing up, once you reach adulthood and begin to understand what's been going on, your problems don't suddenly magically disappear. Your mother doesn't suddenly become a nice person. Like the leopard, she can't change her spots, and she'll continue to abuse you every step of the way. Confronting her will be a complete waste of your time because she'll twist everything you say into her version of reality. And you already know now how warped that reality really is. She'll criticize you, your partner, your kids, your house, your career choices. She won't respect your boundaries. She'll ladle guilt and blame all over you at every opportunity. And in short, she'll continue to be a selfish nightmare, showing you zero respect. And you'll continue to put up with it. No matter how much it's destroying your life, it's upsetting you, you'll continue putting up with it. And the question is why? And one of the most important answers I found, again during my research, is that deep down, your inner child still craves your mother's love. It's how you're wired, it's how we're wired as human beings. You keep hoping that one day something will just click and she'll realise that she does of course love you after all, that you are lovable. Then you'll feel validated at last and you can play this fantasy out in your head, and it just keeps you hanging on in the hope, that deep hope that maybe, just maybe, she really does love you. And it's really very sad, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble here, but that's what I'm going to have to do, because the fact is that fantasy of her turning around and realising and telling you that she loves you, it's never going to happen because she can't. She's not wired that way. She just isn't. She doesn't think the way the rest of us think. So you're going to come back now to where I will always point to and where I'll always bring you back to as much as I can. And that's to the fact that loving yourself first and foremost is where you need to focus. And again, this ties in with the inner child healing. It's where the love is. All the love you could possibly ever want or need is hiding inside you. And it's where healing truly begins. You just need to realise it. And when you do, the love floodgates, as I call them, will open for you. And I've seen it happen time and time again with my clients. And also with all the research I've done, all the reading I've done. There's that little nugget I'm always looking for, okay? You become that bird who flies free of the cage at last, free and flying into the light. You may have noticed my logo I have at the beginning of all my introductory videos. There's my birdie flying out of the cage into the light, okay? I chose it specifically for that reason. Okay, so now, taking all this toxic childhood conditioning into account, you grow into an adult who attracts more narcissists into your life because you subconsciously understand that such behaviour is normal, but your deep subconscious belief is that this is what you deserve. You don't believe you deserve anything better. Now, usually it's a romantic attraction, but it can be in other ways. It could be those work relationships, could be any of those other relationships outside of parent or romantic. But as I said, for this one, I'm going to focus on the romantic for the moment. Now, narcissists are not even adept, they are experts at spotting vulnerabilities in their targets. They just seem to have internal radar for this. And if you're a sensitive or an empath or spiritually inclined or a healer, for example, they know that you're more likely to be the kind of person who's more willing to forgive, to try to see past flaws, and therefore you'll be easier to manipulate. They're very, very calculating in everything they do. Now, they're also drawn to people who are very successful or impressive in some way, because such people represent a greater challenge for them. Now, if you're financially well off, you become an even juicier target for them because you're a potential cash cow, and they'll do everything in their power to strip you of every cent you own. They are merciless. Now, I've actually heard someone say a comment that, oh, she must have been really stupid to fall for a narcissist. Now, clearly this woman who actually made this comment in one of the groups I was in some time back clearly had no idea what she was talking about. Because women who have been and still are victims of narcissistic abuse include doctors, psychotherapists, psychologists. Yes, I know it seems crazy because you think they would know better, wouldn't you? But they don't. That's how insidious and clever narcs are. Entrepreneurs, lawyers, financial advisors, designers, authors, journalists, just about any profession you can name. You'll find all well-educated, intelligent women have all fallen for narcissists. And it's because, as I've said, they're incredibly clever, and they're generally able to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. They've been known to fool therapists, lawyers, and judges in court. They are sharp. Now, narcs will also, as part of their strategy, once they identify a target, they'll check you out on social media and so on to learn more about you. And this is so that when you connect, they'll just seem to say the right things and they'll like all the things that you like. In very short order, they'll have you believing that you're the best thing since sliced bread and that you're meant to be together forever. And you'll hear that, yeah, we are soulmates. Okay? Now just remember your wounded inner child who is still craving love that I just talked about a few minutes ago. So here's an irresistible chance to get some real love in your life. It's intoxicating, of course it is, and no one can blame you for falling head over heels. You couldn't possibly know at a conscious level that your potential suitor is going to become your worst nightmare. So the narc will then woo you with all these big sweeping romantic gestures, fabulous sex, and they'll completely ensnare you. But this honeymoon period has a very short lifespan. Now, inevitably, invariably in fact, it will end and the devaluing will start. And that's when your nightmare begins. And I'll cover devaluing in more detail in a separate video. Now, I hope that this video has given you some insights and helped you to understand a little bit about why you might have attracted a narcissist into your life if you've had a narcissistic mother. But remember, I always want to end on a positive note with all these videos that I'm going to be making. Remember that nightmares end, and you can end your nightmare narcissistic relationship. It all starts with knowledge and understanding what has happened to you and why. And from there, you can move forward. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that interesting and helpful. And if so, please hit like and subscribe for more videos. I'll be posting new videos every week. Now, if you'd like to hear more tips and connect personally with me, check out the links below this video. You can join my mailing list, and if you prefer to have the transcripts, I'll be happy to send those to you. And I've also got some wonderful healing hypnosis MP3s that I'd like to send you. And you can also join my closed Facebook group, Infinite Self-Worth After Narcissistic Abuse. Now, this is a women's only group with exclusive content every week. So do check out those links below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now, and thanks again for watching. I appreciate your time. Thank you.